probably useless, but I took them. And but the rifles I was talking about earlier in the story, I flew up down the wharves. I was driving the Japanese around, and I was taking these. I wasn't taking the fellas to the wharf, but the Japanese were driving fellas to the wharf. But I had a truck, and I was driving the Japanese out to guard them. And of course I had nothing much to do while I was waiting around. I had the good jobs. And how there was sugar, being loaded or unloaded. So of course Max gets him, hooks his finger in a bag and finds a hole, fills his pocket with sugar, and I'm going to take these Japanese back. And they stood on the back of the trucks, same as we did, about 30 on the back, hanging on like hell. And there's two incidents happened. I was coming back, I got to a junction, and the engine stopped. Well, I'm a driver, not a mechanic. I thought, hell, I'm in trouble there. So I got out and I lifted the bonnet, looking all important, and I touched the round thing with the things in the top.
Distributor.
Distributor. Touched the distributor. I pushed all them down, went in, and the engine turned over. I tell you what, I said a prayer. Another day I went back to the camp, and they said the officer wants to see you. And this is the day I had the sugar in my pocket. Well, I go into the officer's room. He's sitting on one side of a 6-foot square table with a pistol on the table. I thought, hell, he's caught me with sugar. I'm gone. I can laugh now, but I wasn't laughing then. Anyhow, after a little bit of conversation, he said, do you play table tennis? I said, yes, I play table tennis. So I went 3 games of table tennis. He won them all. I didn't mind that. Then he gave me a big bag of lollies and sent me on my way. So that was another thing. And in that camp, where we had the trucks when I was driving it, we used to miss tail shafts. Because if you haven't got a tail shaft on a truck, you can't drive it. So what happened, before we went out in the mornings, we used to have to jack our vehicles up, the rear wheels up, start the engine and spin the wheels. So the Jap knew that the vehicle would go. So that was it, see. But oh, it's funny. It was like funny now, but serious then, I tell you. They used to rope and ramp. Yeah.
And Max,
one of the worst cargoes I carried was lime. I tell you what, use perspiration, a lime on your back, that burns, I tell you.
and where did you do that?
Probably one of the wharf jobs, see, when I was done a bit of a wharf job. But those rifles, I don't know what I told you, all those rifles, the English and Australians and Indians packed up, they'll take it down the wharf. There would have been a heap there 4 metres high, 100 metres long, and 5 metres wide. Now you guess how many rifles there? And I thought, oh, there, must get sent them to Japan. Well, they all had their stocks on them. When the first time I went down and sort of noticed them. Next time I went down, they'd all been burnt, there was no stocks on them. So I just taken the iron up the wood to Japan. Yeah, so that's another thing I noticed. Yeah. Oh, I got so many little things I can remember. When we first got taken, we went to this house, and I had a little Christmas card from my father, and in that card I wrote the names of all the fellas in that room. I think there was about 15 of us in that room, about 12 by 10, something like that. We just had enough room to lie down.
Were they all ammo sub-pack?
All ammo sub-pack, yeah. I've got in a book, it's called but some of the interesting things about Graham Gage, as you know, you don't know, but he was on A-Force, and he was put on that ship that got sunk by the American submarines. Well, he was one that got saved by the second ship, and he got back to Australia in 1944, but he's a non-swimmer. Now he floated, I don't know what he floated, I never saw him much after the war, but he got back to Australia in 1944 with all the others. He was 30, got back all together. And, but I kept in contact with Graham, or Plumbers, we called him, for a while, but lost contact with him, and we don't know what's happened to him. What else can I tell you? That's the phone. I'll film here.
Max, I wonder if we've only got a couple of minutes left on this tape, so could you just hold the portrait of yourself as a young soldier up a little bit higher, thanks. We're getting a horrible lot of reflection, so... Oh, that's good. That's good, yeah, okay, thank you. And if you could put that down now. And I've just got a couple of particular questions I'd like to ask you. Did you have a really close mate, someone who you relied on, or he relied on you?
Yes, I had several mates that relied on one another.
Yeah.
There was Colin Borthwick. There was Colin Borthwick, I mentioned. Eric Wilson. The three